Continuing with the skeleton theme, my next kit is going to be this Glencoe Tyrannosaurus skeleton. Now, I looked this up on ScaleMates. I believe the original kit, I think, was by Palmer and came out in 1959. And this is a 90s version. It said 1990X for this version, which I'm thinking around 94, 95, something like that. So this is the next one. Let's go ahead and do an unboxing and see what we got. So right off the bat, I'm noticing that the packaging is kind of different. It's a cardboard box, of course, but most of the time when you get a kit, and I don't have one close by I could pull, but here's an example here. See how the whole box is printed, okay? Top, bottom, not so much bottom, but all four sides. Whereas this appears that it's a cardboard box, and over it they printed out this artwork, and then you can even see here on the corner here, the box is not printed. They put it in this piece of paper over the top of the box. So let's see what we've got here. Go ahead and remove the shrink wrap. There we go. And let's see. So to get this out, I'm going to have to cut the box art. I really don't like doing that, but there's no other way. At least not that I can find. Alright, so I recently built the Stegosaurus, and it was not without its share of problems. Here's our base, and the Stegosaurus had the nameplate built into the base, and it also had this bar here. I don't know what this thing is, what it's supposed to be, but it's annoying that it's there. It's just this, you've got the lettering here, but then there's this bar, and it makes no sense. Okay, so now this one comes with warning, open your own risk. Contents put you in face-to-face, or contents put you face to face with the most incredible dinosaurs. Okay. I actually have this book. This is a really good book. Building and Painting Dinosaurs by Ray Rimmel. I actually have this book. It's a good book. I would recommend it. Piece of advertising. Okay. Now, we've got our parts here. We'll look at the parts in a second. Alright. So that's our box. We'll put that aside. And here's our instructions. Here you go. And then like so. So this doesn't have as many parts as the Stegosaurus that I did. Hopefully it'll be a simpler construction. I'm not going to pull the parts out yet. Alright. maybe you can see this close up here. There's, on some of the parts, maybe this one here, you see there's this little dot, this little circle. That's where the part number is. It took me a while before I discovered that. So I'm not going to take this out of the bag right now. I've got to clean it here in a minute. I'm going to be very careful because I want to preserve those little dots or little circles, because those are going to have the part numbers, and without that, it becomes a jigsaw puzzle. So that's the unboxing, such as it is. My next step is going to be moving to cleaning the parts, and then I think I'm going to assemble and then paint. So let's drive on. Because a release agent is used in the injection molding process, it can mess with your paint job. So you want to clean that off, and I'm using Windex and then water so that I don't have any release agent messing with my paint job. I want to talk real quick about, and you probably can't see this little circle here. This is the part number. It says 21. I don't know if this is going to be able to focus on it or not, but that's how the part numbers are on a lot of these pieces. They're on these little things that can be knocked off very easily. So this kit was produced its first in the 1950s, and I think that was in the very early days of model making. So I think they were still trying to figure out how to put part numbers on. They should have put it on the sprues. They probably figured that out later, but just wanted to show this real quick because it is a key thing to watch for on these Glencoe kits. The Stegosaurus was the same way. So thought I'd take a minute to share that with you. All right, so assembly on the Glencoe Tyrannosaurus. Yeah, it's Tyrannosaurus, not Tyrannosaurus Rex. I'm not sure what the big difference is. Sure, there is one. But this is done. So, a few notes on this. There were a lot of seam lines I had to scrape off. And there was some puttying and filling. I probably could have done more on the puttying and filling, but they're in just such tight little areas that it didn't seem to be worth it. So I am moving on to painting this here. I'm going to prime this in white first. And I don't know what colors I'm going to end up with. I'm just going to go for it. Let me set this down. I've already primed the base. I'm using Tamiya white primer. And I'm going to do the same with this. So, just a quick note, the fit on some of these pieces, the way they go together, is not the greatest. They kind of don't quite, the joints, the pegs and holes are not super tight. So that could have been better. My understanding is this was built, or this was molded, sculpted, molded, whatever, produced in the 1950s. And that was kind of the very early days of model kits. So I suspect that their approach to doing these is, oh, it's just for kids, whatever. Not thinking of adult model builders that would want something where the parts fit right. So anyway, I did see something that on the instructions it says in 2004 they're coming out with a Potosaurus and a Neanderthal skeletons for both. So interesting to see what those look like. So let's get to priming and painting. So I've primed the kit with Tamiya white primer, and now I'm going to start doing the base coat for both the base and the model itself. And I'm going to use a combination of Vallejo model color uh, cream white 70.766 and flat flesh 70.955. And I'm going to mix those together. I don't have a plan on this. I have found with doing skeletons that sometimes it's just you throw things together and work them, and then, you know, something eventually comes together. So that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to continue on here with kind of a semi-dry brush with a stiff bristle to add some more layers of color here. I think I'm going to start off by mixing up some whole red and pale brown and just see what that does. Sometimes it's, you know, you just mix things up and see what happens, and that's what's going on here. So for this next bit of painting, I'm going to do more of a dry brush to hit the highlights, and I'm going to use the Vallejo model color cream white, which is the 70.766, a little bit less, same as I've used before, but a little bit less of the model color flat flesh 70.955. And I'm also going to add in some of the Model Air Vallejo orange rust, and that's 71.130. And just hit the highlights on this. So this is going to be more dry brush. So what I've been doing is building up layers of color that when I do the final wash, hopefully I will all the colors will show through the wash, and it'll get me to where I want. If it doesn't, then I'll figure something out. But what I'm going to use now is some model color camouflage black brown. That's Vallejo model color 70822. Then some chocolate brown Vallejo model color 70.872, and I'm going to use this Mecha Weathering Vallejo Light Rust, and that's 69.505. So I'm going to do a very thin wash, and I'm probably, as I do this, either I will tap or blot off some of the excess with paper towels, or I'll just squirt it down with water and let it run off. So we'll see how it goes. So the next thing I'm going to tackle is the nameplate. Now, I like bases and I like nameplates, but this one has them all in one piece, which would initially sound great, but actually can be problematic. I almost would rather that they were separate pieces, but that's not the case on this one. Now, the other thing that's a little odd about this is it's got this bar on the underside. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but towards the bottom of the nameplate, there's this bar with rounded ends on it that is just weird. So, but I'm just going to paint over that. So, what I'm going to do first is tape this up to mask off the nameplate, and then I'll go over it with model color brass. That's 70.801, which I find is got a really good color for nameplates. It's kind of what I would think of as the brass you would see on a museum nameplate. Once that's done, then I'm going to go over it again with several coats of Tamiya clear, and I think that's X13. I'll have to look at it. And then after probably about 6 coats thereabouts, I'll then mask off a little bit more on the nameplate, just to get it right on the edges of the nameplate, and then I'm going to go over it with Tamiya Semi-Gloss Black X18. Once that's dry, I'll then take a Q-tip with some isopropyl alcohol and go over the letters, and that will reveal the brass letters underneath the black background. So that's what we're doing next. All right. So the Glencoe Tyrannosaurus skeleton here is done. Mostly straightforward. Definitely has some gap issues. On the nameplate, it had this bar like they did on the Stegosaurus that made no sense. I painted it black so it doesn't show up quite so much. I had more trouble with the nameplate to get it done right. I'm not sure why, but anyway, so it's done. The box art, I'll show this to you. It shows some holes in the skull right here that you don't see in the actual model. And the plastic feels pretty thick. It doesn't feel like something you should, like some flashing, you could just scrape away. So, pretty pleased with the paint job. Again, using washes mostly, and some stippling and a little bit of dry brushing to get the fossil effect. So, this guy is done. I'm going to continue on with the skeleton theme. I've got some more skeleton kits coming up, so stay tuned and we'll see what those adventures hold for us. Thanks for joining me. Take care.